I was the other woman, and today I found out there's another one after me. As a career-driven woman, deep down, I've always longed for love. That night, I wore a uniform for the first time in my life. Nice things up with my boyfriend. But to my shock, the door was opened by a woman. This woman, who looked like a housekeeper, spoke her words, chilled me to the bone.
No, I'm his wife, Kate.
I forced a smile and said I had the wrong door, though my heart was pounding out of my chest. But the next second, I missed a step and fell right at the doorway, dignity gone. Panicked, I scrambled to my feet, apologizing and promising to mail her a check for the broken vase. My name is Carly, a well-known lawyer. I realized I'd been living in a complete and utter lie. The next day, I stormed into the office, burning with rage, 99 roses, looking envious. It was from that bastard. Staring at those painfully red roses, I felt nothing but disgust. I gritted my teeth and told myself, this has to end. I needed to erase this scumbag from my life, for good. But fate clearly wasn't ready to let me move on. A few days later, the wife showed up. She didn't beat around the bush. Her first words were, "Are you seeing my husband?" I stayed silent. She burst into tears, loud enough to draw a crowd in the office. But she got more and more hysterical, even threatening to jump out the window. All I could do was try to calm her, promising to tell her everything I knew. Just please don't hurt yourself. That night, she drank hard. She said she gave up her career to be a full-time wife, all for the sake of their family, and the man she trusted betrayed her for someone else. She still held on to hope that maybe he could change. I couldn't help but laugh, because if it happens once, it'll happen 1,000 times. Before leaving, she looked at me all emotional and said, "Let's stay in touch, okay?" I smiled on the outside, but rolled my eyes inside, hoping I'd never have to see her again. But fate had other plans. A few days later, she came again. And this time, she found her way to my front door. She looked like she was about to cry and said she had no savings, gave all her money to her husband after marriage, and now she had nothing left. In the end, I let her in, and her dog followed right behind, hopping onto my couch like it owned the place. But we actually started talking, and the awkwardness from the first time disappeared. She said she envied me, thought I lived freely, independently, with a strong sense of self, and her husband hadn't touched her in forever. I just looked at her and said seriously, "We're not rivals. We were just fooled by the same man." That night, we talked like old friends, sharing secrets and laughing in a way we hadn't in a long time. The next morning, I drove her home. Before she got out, I reminded her to act like she hadn't discovered anything. That man's too cunning. If he sensed she was thinking about divorce, he'd move the assets first. But just a few hours later, I got a call from her. When I got to her place, the study looked like it had been hit by a hurricane. She sat on the floor, telling me she couldn't control her emotions. Just as I was comforting her, her younger brother suddenly showed up. She made something up on the spot, just to avoid his suspicion. I took a good look. Her brother was way better than that scumbag husband. I couldn't help asking, "Is your brother single?" That night, when the man got home, he asked about studying. Kate explained she was redecorating to surprise him. He didn't ask further. He even grabbed her hand, saying he'd take her out to dinner because he'd pitched her design to investors. It got approved and secured $2 million in funding. The nerve of this man, climbing to success on his wife's work and proud of it. Not long after, I got a call from Kate. She said he was being extra gentle tonight and she was wavering. I was so mad I laughed, then immediately scolded her like crazy before hanging up. Before heading out, she kept telling herself, "He's a scumbag. Don't believe another word he says." I really hoped she'd listen, but the moment she got home, she threw all those vows out the window and ran straight back into that scumbag's arms. But when she came out, she overheard him on the phone, voice low, asking someone for some spicy photos. That moment, her heart completely froze. The next day, she came to me, all fired up, asking if I was still dating her darling husband. I was furious, turned and walked away. She chased after me, causing a huge scene in the street. I told her, word for word, "Your husband is trash. So trash I feel sick just seeing him. How could I ever fall for him again?" She finally woke up. That bastard was cheating on both of us and already had a new girl on the hook. We were both so furious we decided to team up to find out who this so-called fourth woman was. By the weekend, Kate sweetly saw him off as usual, an Oscar-worthy performance. The moment he walked out the door, she ripped off her robe and sent me the signal. I jumped in my car, picked her and her dog up, and officially kicked off our cheating jerk surveillance mission. Later, we followed that cheating bastard all the way to the beach. Kate crouched at a distance, spying through binoculars, while I sat next to her with a growing sense of dread. There he was, with a bombshell babe. "Oh my God," she whispered, and I immediately grabbed the binoculars. That woman had curves for days. An absolute knockout, and I nearly lost my balance at sight. For the first time, I felt like a washed-up old hag, completely humiliated. Rage surged up inside me. I stormed down the beach. I was going to face off with this rival no matter what. Kate freaked out and rushed to stop me. She tackled me to the ground and we rolled around like a pair of lunatics, wild and ridiculous. She walked over, eyeing us as if we were two escaped mental patients. Soon, the truth came out. She was shocked at first, then sincerely apologized to Kate. That night, without hesitation, she joined our sisterhood of revenge. After letting it all out, Kate finally snapped back and said she wanted revenge. Serious, brutal revenge. And just like that, our three-woman revenge plan officially began. Every morning, Kate would sneak female hormones into his juice and serve it to him with a sweet smile. Once he left, she'd use his toothbrush to brush the dog's teeth, then scrub the toilet. She even filled his shampoo with hair removal cream to destroy his manhood from the roots. Meanwhile, I kept dating him. When he stepped away to take a call, I slipped a laxative into his drink. Clean and quick. Sure enough, it hit him fast. After just a few bites of food, he clutched his stomach and bolted to the restroom, green-faced. But sadly for him, he didn't get his pants off fast enough. Worst of all, someone passed by, and he offered them cash to buy him pants. But they took the money and left him stranded. It wasn't until midnight that he finally made it home, in nothing but flaming red underwear, drenched in sweat, looking like he'd clawed his way out of hell. Kate nearly burst from holding in her laughter. From that day on, his personal horror series officially went live. The man's self-esteem completely collapsed in that moment, but I also knew the man wasn't stupid. If we kept stringing him along, one day he'd get suspicious. So we simply decided to make it fair. Whoever won would offer themselves. It sounded both funny and sad. When Amber won, I saw that flicker of disappointment in Kate's eyes, but she still forced a smile and insisted she didn't care anymore. Sure enough, that night, she wore her wedding dress, watching their wedding video, the bottle in her hand nearly empty. I had never seen her so fragile. She collapsed to the floor as if all her energy had been drained. I comforted her, saying time heals everything, that one day she would move on. But then the door opened. Why was that man back? My first reaction was to find a place to hide, and the only option was her thick wedding dress. Kate explained that she just suddenly wanted to play dress-up. After finally getting him to leave, I scrambled out in a panic. A few days later, Kate told me he was taking her to an investor gala. It sounded like a big deal. The investor was very satisfied with a proposal Kate had made earlier and decided to invest another $2 million. That idea was originally Kate's, but now it became his trophy to show off. That night in bed, the man actually said a few heartfelt words for once. The next day, I rushed to find Kate. I had been investigating him and found out he had registered several companies in the Bahamas. And he used Kate's proposal. He repeatedly tricked her into signing documents. If anything went wrong, she would be the first to fall. The man had not changed at all. He was still using that medication, lying that it was just for flu prevention, telling her to remember to take it. He even brought out a few documents for her to sign. Kate finally woke up. She finally realized that this man only cared about himself. Of course, we'd never let her face this alone. Using GPS tracking, we located the hotel where that man was staying, and unsurprisingly, he had already set his sights on a new target. Every time we lifted the binoculars, we spotted a new mistress. He truly redefined the meaning of cheater. That afternoon, we followed him all the way and finally identified the bank he used for laundering money. Before dawn the next morning, I woke up to find Kate missing. I rushed outside to find her and saw her standing alone by the sea holding her wedding ring. Without hesitation, she tossed it into the ocean, clean and decisive, like a farewell ceremony to her past. I quietly walked up beside her, said nothing, and simply stood with her in silence. Soon after, Amber arrived too. The three of us huddled together. No words were needed. Shortly after, we went to the bank together. At that moment, Kate walked in with unwavering determination. She was no longer the little woman crying over her husband. She was a warrior standing up for justice on her own behalf. On Monday, the man, as usual, drove to my office in style to pick me up. My assistant led him into the conference room. As soon as the door closed and he turned around, he saw the three of us and looked like his soul had left his body. Kate got straight to the point. I want a divorce. Of course, the man refused, even pretending to swear he would change. I couldn't stand it anymore and sneered, "You're nothing but a hollow shell. It's truly pathetic." Then I handed him the divorce papers and said, "We've calculated your share of the assets. The number on this document is what you deserve." It was 0. Kate kindly explained that as CEO, she had emptied the Bahamian company's accounts and returned all the money to the investors. Coincidentally, the investor arrived too, promptly fired him without mercy, and announced that from now on, they'd only work with Kate.
No, you're lying. Global bullshit. I call bullshit bullshit!
He finally paid the price for his betrayal. A few months later, Kate truly became the CEO. She radiated power, made bold moves in the business world, and was no longer the woman who once sacrificed everything for her husband. As for me, I finally found love of my own. I got together with Kate's brother, and soon I was pregnant. Amber also found new love. She ended up becoming my stepmother. We weren't mistresses. We were women who had been deceived, but we chose to support each other and rise together. Knowing when to cut your losses is the real beginning of happiness.